Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, back for what has turned into yet another Flann Sinna playthrough. Flann Sinna, you rascal, murdered his way to power in the last episode. And what he has now as his goal is to establish basically the Kingdom of Ireland, to establish the High Kingship. The easiest path to doing that is basically to secure Ulster, which he's going to need to do if he wants to reform the Celtic Church. So Argyll is going to be an immediate goal for us. However, that's actually under attack at the moment from, I think it's the Dal Fiatach, who control this area. So what we're going to do is get our resources together, head for Tyrconnell, and possibly declare war to subjugate this entire region all in one go. And before beginning his great push north, Flann Sinna is going to be able to take a new lifestyle perk. We're going to go for Household Guard, which will dramatically increase the number of available knights. The only problem is that Flann Sinna is paranoid, which gives us a hefty stress penalty anytime that we try to recruit guests to our court. We'll take it anyway. Do you know what? We can always take prisoners and force them into our army. So here we can see Comon would be a fantastic recruit. However, we will gain almost 40 stress. And actually, Flann Sinna is still stressed from the last episode. So we need to deal with that or he will suffer a break. Flann, who lost an eye in one of the earlier wars, we should be able to allow him to join the army. Do we want anyone else? I don't think so. I think these guys are actually in the army anyway, but you know what? They're not great. Yeah, there we go. 11 out of 11. We should probably forbid them. And while the army is still recovering from the dramatic wars in the last episode, when Afinlia died, leaving Flann Sinna with 2 wars, Ossory's invasion of Mide and a Viking invasion of Tyrone, even though the army is still recovering, we should have more than enough to deal with Tyrconnell. They have no alliances. They're only able to bring in about 500 troops. We will conquer the kingdom. And by the kingdom, I mean the county. So our forces move up for what should be a fairly easy battle. We're beginning to see some raiding armies appearing in Kildare and Ossory, both of which we have alliances with, and also with the Dalgash. We'll put Arthur in command of the siege, and we have some prisoners. As far as military affairs are concerned, Ardgar is stone useless. Another Comoin, however, paranoid just like Flann Sinna. We will recruit him and shove him into the army. Now, Flann Sinna is still in his 20s, I think he's 29 years of age, so any talks of succession are a long way off, but at the moment he has chosen his half-brother, Donal, as his potential successor, and is actually educating Donal. So he's our ward half-brother and player heir, and he's after showing up with a chunk of money. Well, fair play to him. And fair play to Kildare, they raided Dublin. That's a bit risky. Tuavuan has actually invaded Ossory, and now Kildare is raiding down Ossory. That's brave of them. And speaking of bravery, we're being a bit too brave. Our horse has taken a sudden shock, and we have a 50-50 chance to become wounded or gain some martial lifestyle experience. And I think it's a wound. So this is why we want to keep our bishop out of the army, so that he doesn't end up being killed, because he's our physician as well. And here's an interesting proposal that has come in. The Jarl of Iceland has proposed a marriage between our heir, Donal, and his daughter, Grania. And for 2,500 troops, do you know what? We're going to accept that. So big heap of pop-ups all in one go. I wonder if we could... No, we won't be able to recruit him. He'll leave the court as soon as the siege ends. I would like to put Moel Dorid back in command of this area. I don't want to hold on to it, but that's probably what's going to end up happening. We will enforce our demands, so be it. And I've been told that we can form the Duchy of Ulster, and I'm kind of surprised at this, because I thought we would have needed 3 of the 5 counties, but we actually only need 2, so we will create that title, and hopefully we will be able to use that to enforce our will onto the remaining holdouts, because I don't think the Dál Fiatach have enough forces to siege down Argyll, so that war will probably come to an end at some stage. And instead of standing down the army, there aren't many opportunities on the island at the moment, because a lot of it has already been raided down. We're going to head into Connacht. We can't siege the Dalgash, or Kildare, or Ossory, so what we'll probably see about doing is if we can actually make it across in this direction. Now, the short-term goal for Flann will be to form the High Kingship, to form the Kingdom of Ireland, and the long-term goal will be to take Iona and Lindisfarne. And at the moment, the Isles is not in a great position. Baradar, Ivar the Boneless's son and ruler of the Isles, has waged war against Sweden and has been captured. Now, the Isles is in a very weakened position, as is one of their 2 allies. However, we wouldn't be in a position to attack them just yet. But if the Isles can continue to deteriorate, it might present us with an opportunity of heading for Iona shortly. For now, we're going to continue raiding as these 2 recover from their hangover. We have caught Donal and Rory. 29-year-old hanging around with a 13-year-old, getting him drunk. Okay, that's not weird. We found them drinking mead, a whole keg of it. We're going to make Donal temperate, the way that we don't take any more stress and the way that he gains some insularist virtue. With all the money that's coming in, I've started to appoint some court positions, and I've appointed an Italian princess as our court chronicler. She's married to a distant member of the family who I considered maybe nominating for the succession. But this will give us an opportunity to come and take a look at the Legends tab. So Mide, the tip volume 2 dev, has added a few extra legends in here. So we have the Red Hand of Ulster, which I did a series on before. This is the only Irish legend in the base game, and he's added 2 more: the Legacy of Fergus Moore and the Legend of Goidel Gloss. So this is where the word Goidelic comes from. So this is the guy that was in the Tower of Babel when God gave them all different languages, and he didn't give any to Goidel Gloss. So he picked the best elements of all of the languages to form Goidelic, and then he brought it to Ireland, and it eventually becomes the word Gael. So this is where the word Gael comes from. Blood of the Conqueror is also a new one, I think, relating to the King of the Scots, but we can do this because we're part of the Cead Cathach dynasty. I'm not a huge fan of the legends. I'm not a huge fan of the actual idea of the legends. I like that that Mandate has added a few extra ones, so if you're thinking of taking a look at the Tip Volume 2 mod, there are some new ones here that you can mess around with. I am probably going to do another series on one of the legends later on, but yeah, like I said, the legends innovation, or the way it's been added to the game, not really a fan. So we have arrived in Ulster just as an army of the Isles arrived, and I think they actually managed to raid that area down ahead of us. Well, that's great. Do you know what? If you're taking all that money back to the Isles, we'll just go straight back there ourselves. We'll follow after you. And by the Isles, I meant the Isle of Man. We have a bit of a problem now, which is that this 381 army is coming in. I hope they're going to stand down or leave. There you go. Off you go. Have a good time. We're seeing a hefty army arriving. Who are you and where are you going? They're attacking Argyll. That's gonna be problematic. My spy master, Gormla, has come to me with a report. Rory has many secrets, it seems. This would be Rory, the 30-year-old man who was plying a 13-year-old with alcohol. Many secrets, yeah, I'm sure he does. Oh, he's a non-believer. Yeah, that's the worst of what he's up to. We've just managed to pick up a Masterwork trinket as part of our raid. It's going to give 0.08 prestige per month, and I'm sure it's going to make some people very unhappy as we equip it alongside the roe antler that we got on the last episode. And as we head for the Isle of Man, the Viking menace continues its siege of Arguilla. So far, we are the only power on the island that has managed to defeat a Viking invasion. We held off the invasion of Tyrone, and what this has meant is that many of the smaller Irish groups are now looking to us for leadership. Kildare, Goitne, has declared that he will give vassalage and swear fealty to Flann and recognise him as High King of Ireland, as will Lorcan of the Dalgash. And we can see also that they're maybe getting a bit worried about Ossory, which has just shoved into Tuavuan, so this would be our uncle and brother-in-law, Chieftain Carul, and no doubt they are looking as much to protect themselves from him as they are from the Vikings to the north. So this now will require a bit of a change in the court. Orthur is out as Chancellor and Goitne is in. And Flannacoin will be departing as our Marshal to be replaced with Lorcan. And we've managed to raid down the Isle of Man and take bounteous plunder, which brings us up to 90. That is a good chunk of money. Do we want to push? We might as well, but we actually can't spend too much time wandering around here. So we'll push up, pretty much totally siege down this area. We could actually try and head for... It's going to take us around in a bit of a wander. We could head for Iona to stamp our authority and declare our intentions, and there we go. It looks like Arguilla has fallen. Now that puts them in a bizarre scenario involving them in 2 wars for the conquest of Arguilla, including these guys. So Brittany is trying to become involved in the whole thing. So we return with 105 gold from our largest raid yet. Our first raid, if I am correct, off the island of Ireland. And the very first thing that Flann will do, as his power now reaches throughout the northern half of the island and has even begun to push into Munster, the very first thing that Flann will do is proclaim himself as High King of Ireland. Goitne, our brand new Chancellor, he's only been in the job a couple of days and he has been elevated from Chancellor to the Petty King of Mide, and he is now Chancellor of the Kingdom of Ireland. He's knitted us a brand new banner, and we will let them see their new High King. First and most important thing is the decorations. So we have the Inale House banner. I was wondering why we only had one. Of course, the Cethcathach Dynasty banner is in Scotland. And for now, I think we'll hold off on holding a court because we have a couple of other pressing matters to deal with. The most important of which will be adding Tanistry. So at the moment, our daughter is our heir. So we're going to have to spend a good chunk of the prestige that we've built up. And we will nominate a successor, and we should be in a position to go back and nominate Donal, wherever he's after going to. There we go. So we have 15 electors. I suppose because we don't actually have all that many duchy titles at the moment. So there's a ton of them. A lot of them are swinging in behind Donal. He seems to have the support needed. And now that Flann has stamped his authority on the island, has established the High Kingship and become the preeminent ruler, our neighbours continue to visit and offer fealty to him. Now only a number of particularly desperate holdouts remain. The northeast of the country, engulfed in war, Urvuan, remaining staunchly independent, and Dublin, which is under the control of the Isles. We have a lot of new rulers expecting court positions, but I've only been able to accommodate my brunkle-in-law, Cruel MacDunlinga. So he has been given the position of spymaster. I think we should probably start a scheme to improve relations with him as well. Something that's been worrying me is Flann high stress, and we've been offered an opportunity to make some secret compartments in our new castle. Well, do you know what? We can lose some stress by getting a concealed torture room. And even though we've become sadistic, we haven't managed to actually start torturing anyone yet, and we are still just barely stressed. 107. Just 7 points of stress too much. And so Flann has had a break. And you know what? Now that he's sadistic, -2 to diplomacy and 1 to stewardship. Do you know what? We're not going to become orthodox. Go on. We've just gotten another martial lifestyle perk, and I think that Flann is going to go, instead of down the gallantry tree, we're going to go for living off the land to increase raid speed. But I think now that he has become reclusive and sadistic, we will change to intrigue. We will adopt the intimidation focus, and look at the very least to dark insights. And already Flann terrifying persona is having a positive effect. The Dalfiathach have just ended their war unsuccessfully with Arguilla, and we have offered them vassalage and they have accepted. The only problem is, for some strange reason, a lot of people hate me. So much so that they are no longer supporting Donald O'Voyle for the succession to the High Kingship. At the moment, it's Murcha Mac Moinach of Iorcanachta. He's 52, however, so it's unlikely that he will succeed. But yeah, we have a lot of negative numbers that we need to sort out. And for as impressive as our new army is, we are still actually one of the weakest powers in the region. So Jorvik is stronger than us. Scotland is much stronger than us. The Isles is really the only target that we could hit for a raid, because we do, again, need to get money together. And the really helpful thing is the Isles has just returned from a raid, so hopefully they have lots of money. And I think the Isles have actually risen their army to attack us. They have indeed. There's a scheme at court. And what a time to come of age in the midst of a dramatic battle against the Vikings. Donald O'Voyle has come of age. We did a fairly good job in training him. He's a brilliant strategist and a reaver, which is going to be fantastic for raiding until we meet again, Donald. And Murcha, I think, has just been killed in the battle. Well, that's... oh no, that's terrible. The man who was going to succeed as High King of Ireland. Well, this is a tragedy. F's in chat for poor Murcha. Ulgarg, a member of the family, at least a member of the Enail, has now been nominated as our successor, as our potential successor, should Flann die in seclusion. I was going to try and see how this battle was going, but it hasn't actually ended yet. So it was a pretty solid victory, but it was a hefty battle. Rory! Poor Rory. I was actually thinking about maybe putting Rory in charge of a county somewhere. I'd actually just organised a marriage for him not that long ago. So Rory was killed by Ossel the Foreigner of Dublin. And there is Murica had his head ripped off, and Ulgarg, our successor, is actually injured. Flann, the poor man, had his eye taken out at one stage. He's injured again. So we did a fairly solid job of holding on to all the money that we've got, but yeah, hefty losses. The kingdom mourns. It hasn't been the greatest of raids. 56 gold is nothing to be too disappointed with. We're seeing a hefty army coming down, but that is Iceland's army, which of course we are allied with. And we've discovered that the Italian princess that is married to a random member of the family, and that we made our court chronicler, she's trying to kill our champion Flann. We will let the traitor be known to all. And the reason that Iceland showed up with 3,000 troops is because it has declared a holy war for Annandale. Okay. And Scottish forces have arrived in Dublin as part of a wider war against the Isles. So I'm not actually too sure how they are doing. Well, there you go. I think that is the answer. The Isles, just after we departed. And it's entirely possible, actually, that as a result of our invasion, Barather, unless he was in prison, I'm not too sure was he released, but he has died as a result of wounds that he received in February of 880. And I would say that the Isles is pretty much on the verge of collapse. I think that is deserving of a feast. We're going to hold a feast in Mide to celebrate the death of Barather and also to commemorate and honour the death of Murica. Here is his successor, Claircan Mac Murica, his son of Ir Connacht. And Murica was the heir apparent. He was Ridauna. He'd been appointed or nominated as our successor, and that has now actually transferred to Donald O'Voyle. So if something was to happen to Flann, Donald O'Voyle would become the new King of Ireland. So we're going to honour Murica and all those who died in Scotland, getting enough money to actually hold this feast. It's also worth noting that he doesn't hate us, and he's also not supporting Donald O'Voyle. So do you know what? If we improve relations with him, it might make him support Donald. But no, we're doing it to honour Murica. Yeah, F's in chat for Murica. So we have a lovely time ahead of us. We can also lose some of that stress. Keep it down. All the guests have assembled. Welcome, friends. So we have an opportunity to lose a good chunk of stress, or to mingle. Good folk to mingle with here. We will lose only 11, but we will gain 20 opinion with everyone who has a trait in common with us. Sadistic, vengeful, paranoid, diligent. So Flann is just going to rock up to people and start talking about torture. So Ronwyn got into a fight with a random Archbishopess, and we restrained Ronwyn. Well, now we've decided to poison her and make her our rival. As a result of which we have become very observant of details. For the next 5 years, hostile scheme resistance plus 20%, and we've also gained 100 lifestyle experience. Unfortunately, however, Flann has broken the bank in hosting this feast, and we've run out of wine. We don't have enough money to get more, so we're going to have to get everyone to pitch in, lose some prestige, and pay just 15. But thankfully we were able to fill enough glasses, enough jugs of mead. It was because of Rory and Donald O'Voyle drinking all of the alcohol earlier on. God damn it, now we don't have enough for everyone. But we're able to fill enough that we can toast Claircoin and gain 30 opinion. He'll gain 30 opinion of us. And with that, it's all done. So courtly vassals will gain 15, non-courtly vassals will gain plus 10. We gain some prestige to make up for what we spent on the wine. We gain progress towards the eager reveler trait. And we will not lose stress because we are reclusive. Well, at least it was a great banquet. Basically, they had to, like, pull us down the stairs, pull us out of seclusion to force us to attend the feast. Now, one of the big problems that we have in the kingdom at the moment is trying to restore control. Control is down in a lot of the kingdom, and that is depleting our forces. Our seneschal has just passed away, and we're going to appoint Donald O'Voyle to the position. He's average, but he'll help. And we have just received news that our mother has died, which has thrown us into another stress crisis. So she drank herself to death, and our alliance has expired with our chancellor, who was actually married to our mother. Now, the problem here is that at the moment there are no active factions against us, and of course he quite likes us, but there are a number of people who don't like us as much and could be in a position to start forming factions if alliances keep breaking down. Now, we've just seen the fall of Dublin to Scottish forces, and we see more Scottish forces coming in this direction, and I think Ossory is attempting to conquer Urvuan. Well, it's their own fault for not accepting vassalization. Now, we got two big pop-ups because I think a series of wars have probably come to an end. Here is Ulgarg, who was briefly the Ridauna. We just have him being married off to somebody random, but here is the big one. The alliance with Iceland now up to 3,000 troops for Donald O'Voyle. So now we're seeing Scotland sieging down Iona, which should probably bring the war to an end because the Isles has actually headed for Dublin. I think that's pretty much all of their territory. There's actually a small bit to the north. Now we're seeing that Ivor has lost a war against Scotland. And we're going to make things even worse for Jarl Ivor. At the moment, there are a number of wars that he's still involved in. He's fighting for a number of different regions. We could try and subjugate him, but that's going to bring us into a number of wars if we take everything that he holds. And it's just going to create a bit of a mess for us. What we're going to do instead is push the demands of the ruler of the Balfiathach, who I was actually thinking of honouring in the feast for holding out against Arguilla. He was eventually defeated by them for all of the wars that they have fought in this region. What we're going to do is push his claims to Iona. Now this means that we actually have a ton of troops in the Dublin region, so I'm going to raise my forces to the south of that. And we'll start to bring them into Dublin. This is going to create a lot of trouble for the Viking army. They're trying to head out to sea. I don't know, will we siege down Dublin first, or will we just head for the Isles? We might have to try and trap that army and do something with them, especially if they start attacking areas. We'll see if they go off and fight in any wars elsewhere, or if they're going to hang around and be problematic. I think we may have lost the only person that knew how to conduct sieges. No, well, we did, Arthur, but we now have Carul, who also knows how to conduct sieges. So we're stressed again, which means that if we don't clear this shortly, we're going to suffer another mental break. Cahalón, whose claims we're fighting for, and Clairkin, Macmurcha, who we just honoured at a feast, they've gotten into an argument with themselves, and we have an option here that would clear all of our stress. Behead the two of them. We'd better not. We're going to gain 39 stress and 49 stress. So yeah, I think we humiliate and beat the living daylights out of them. So all of that effort to get him on board and support Donald O'Voyle, and the fact that we're trying to claim a region for him and to increase his support, yeah, we're going to basically bait the two of them. And for the second time in a few short years, Dublin has fallen to an invading army, and we've taken some prisoners just as we've gained access to an intrigue lifestyle perk. We could go for Dreadful, or we could go for Dark Insights. We can actually see a Scottish army being wiped out near to Iona, so we're going to take our forces and move them up in this direction. And you know what? Let's pay a bit of a visit to our prison. Here is the caravan master of Chieftain Ossel the Foreigner. So who did Ossel the Foreigner of Dublin kill? He killed Rory. And he also executed somebody as a punishment. Well, he killed Rory in the last battle that we fought in this region. So let's return the favour and torture his caravan master. He's going to lose 75 opinion with us. Oh no, we have to spend 100 piety. That is the problem. Muraka, the poor man, loses some standing with us. And we gain some intrigue. I could listen to the screams for hours. But we're gonna have to stop listening to the screams because Constantine has died from his wounds. No doubt wounds received in that battle against the Isles. So he's fighting, or they were fighting a number of wars against them. He has now died. That massive army has fallen. Actually, Donald O'Voyle was in line to become the King of Scotland. I saw there was a pop-up that Donald O'Voyle was next in line. Well, it's instead gone to a different member of the family. It's Lorcan MacCahill's son. So this would be our predecessor's predecessor as King of Mide. He was killed during a siege in 877. And Marcartach, a member of the family, is now the King of Scotland. Well, fair play. And the good news continues to roll in. Our wife, Dervla, has given us a son, who we're going to name Moel Shocklin. May God grant you long life, my son. This is our first son. I think we've at least one, if not two daughters already. And I presume that Isles' army is heading for Dublin. And we've become malnourished because we're not eating. We're too busy, we're too occupied, there's too much going on. Do you remember the way I said the good news keeps rolling in and then we became malnourished and then Donald O'Voyle got botched treatment? I don't know what for. I think in all the hours I have played and in all the times that I have trained people, this is the best result I have ever gotten. Well, he's, for God's sake, he's baiting himself with a whip. That's why he needs treatment. So we're fairly stressed. I think this would carry us up into the next level of stress if I was to take this option. We could put the bishop under lock and key. He would lose 30 opinion with us and he would become a criminal. We could lose some stress by executing him. I'm not too pushed about the legitimacy loss. It's the subjects losing 10 opinion. That's what's kind of holding me back from doing this at the moment. We'll put him under lock and key. And do you know what? It always gives us the opportunity to torture him at some stage. We need a new physician. I think we're back to Gormla, whose incompetence led to the death of our predecessor Donica. We're not having great luck with physicians, are we? So most likely we're going to see that siege of Dublin lifted momentarily. We're being told that because of a lack of piety, our brunkle-in-law, Carul, has been granted a claim on the Kingdom of Ireland at his request. How interesting. This is a travesty. We go to our council. We go to our spy master. And we replace him with Dovtho Mac Convoc. We can also abandon that scheme to sway our brunkle and start scheming the new archbishop who does not like me. So the siege of Dublin, I believe, has been lifted just as we take over a region and get that 16% straight back. Good job, Carul. Don't put yourself in too much danger now. Don't put yourself in too much danger. What we might as well do, actually, is take this opportunity to... We could request the Dynasty Banner. Do you know what? We'll leave it there for a while. We will call our house member into this war. I think there's a reason that we're malnourished. The wife's pregnant again. And we're in seclusion, so fair play. Executions could be better. We should televise them. We could have more executions, make execution attendance mandatory, a 0% chance that we gain intrigue lifestyle. They should be slow and creative. We will gain dread to keep everybody in check, and horrifying executions in tier Connell, I think. Minus 10% development growth. We're not going for this option. 235 stress for calling off executions. We'll go for creative executions. I wasn't even going to open it. The Isles is offering us a white piece. We will 100% decline. We're seeing the Isles arriving with 1,600 troops. There's been an end to a number of neighbouring wars. We're up to 59. And we have another prisoner. We'd better not do anything with that prisoner because it'll get us into trouble. But what we are going to do, instead of moving south to try and take Dublin, we're going to move north and attack the Isles, led by Cruel. Cruel, make sure not to put yourself in too much danger now. That would be terrible if anything was to happen to you. And there we go. Donald O'Voyle has beaten himself to death. God damn it, Donald. The entire kingdom was yours, and all you had to do was just not bait yourself as much. And that was too much to ask. God damn it. Look, I'm not going to criticize anyone. There's no problem with baiting yourself a bit with a whip, but you can't overdo it, because you're going to end up in scenarios like that. Who do we try and replace? First of all, we have to try and put in a seneschal. Here's Ulgarg again. I never got to use that 3k alliance with Iceland. Here's Ulgarg again, our new player heir. We'll stick him in as the seneschal. And you know what? I'm going to leave him as the player heir for a short while. Everyone's voting for him, so we could try and get Murcarthuk. It would be a bit of a jump from the current branch of the family. But if we were to get Murcarthuk as the King of Scotland, nominated and appointed as the High King of Ireland, because it was something I was thinking of doing, was trying to take the High Kingship at some stage, or trying to take Scotland, but we've just gone for the Isles. That would give us 2 kingdom titles, and we could start, we could actually push for, I think, the King of the Northern Isles, and possibly establish an empire. Do you know what? Let's support Murcarthuk. He's 28. And Flann is batshit crazy. So there goes that alliance. I'm trying to see where these guys are actually going. Where are they going? They've gone lifting a siege of Dublin. And do you know what? Our wife has given us a daughter called Lorne after our mother. May God grant you long life. Don't bait yourself with a whip. Don't bait yourself with a whip. Too late. Lorne is sickly. So we're kind of watching the Isles to see what they are doing at the moment. We've managed to siege down another location, and they have started trying to lift the siege of Iona. They're probably just going to run away again once we get in here, unless they're holding. Scotland's coming in a bit late. And right off the bat, the first man into battle, our Brunkle-in-law, Carol MacDunlinga, has died. Who was it that did this tremendous this absolutely heinous act? Oh, absolutely terrible Toke, oh, you divil, you. Oh, we'll say terrible stories in Ireland about you for centuries to come. We won't forget you anytime soon. Thank you, Toke, thank you. And so with his dying action, the brave, the noble, the respected Cruel MacDunlinga has secured Iona for the Kingdom of Ireland. We will enforce our demands. And so we have one of the 3 holy sites needed to reform the Celtic faith. I honestly thought that Argulla would be the first one that we would actually get a hold of, and instead it is Iona. It doesn't look as though Gida is going to accept vassalization. We could change that, but I'd say unless we get a vastly superior army, I don't think that we're going to be able to sway her around to our way of thinking. I'm not going to lie, I'm still absolutely astounded that we haven't had any factions declared against us, and if there was anybody that would have done such a thing, it would have been our brunkle-in-law, Cruel MacDunlinga. He has been succeeded by his son Caoch, who has lost a leg, and it looks to be in the various wars fought by the family to secure control of Tuavuin or Urvuin. So in 881, he killed a member of the Onacht Cashel. So he already has 2 kills to his name, an impressive character. More kills than his father, but a truly tremendous commander for all the trouble he caused us. A tremendous commander, the man who sieged Dublin, and the man who broke the backs of the Isles. So led our major raid into the area, if I'm correct, or the second smaller raid after accepting vassalization. What a career Cruel had, what trouble and devilment he caused. We inherited a war against him from Afinlia. We managed to white peace him and then bring him into the war against the Vikings to the north. And then he went and petitioned the Pope for a claim on Ireland. He was, no, we're not going to speak ill of the dead. He was a great man. He was a great general. Fair play to him. Oh, goddamn and blast you to hell. Do you not have anything better to be doing with your time than handing out claims to my vassals? They don't have the power to take me on. You saw what happened to the last one. Stop it. This is a travesty. You handing out claims is a travesty. And here we have something that I was not expecting, which is an alliance formed with Gida, the One-Eyed, of Oriel, the new ruler of Argulla. She has accepted our half-brother. So she's now our sister-in-law. So our half-brother, Mueldov, has just come of age, and we have managed to form an alliance. I don't think that's going to immediately make it any more likely. I think it's actually knocked a small bit off. Any more likely that she would... Yeah, there you go, plus 20 for being allies, and we are her rightful liege, so we could very well make an attempt to sway her and potentially bring her in to the kingdom peacefully, because I think her 2,000 troops are much more important to us than actually conquering Oriel and bringing it in forcefully, because the major issue that we're dealing with is not necessarily getting Oriel into the fold. It will be extricating Lindisfarne from the Jorvik, who have a substantial amount of troops, I don't know, and a substantial alliance. So yeah, we need all the troops that we can get. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you haven't done so already, please do go and check out the Tip Volume 2 mod, which has added new counties, lots of craziness to Ireland. Flann has been given a kind of a rule set which makes him more likely to try and murder his way to power. So maybe as a bit of a challenge, start as Donica in Munster and or in Mide and try and maintain power in Mide. Try and prevent Flann from ever gaining power in Mide. There's a bit of a challenge to you. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope you'll join me on the next one, because the Pope is giving out claims to Ireland like they're sweets, so you'll probably get one if you show up on the next episode.